hear it.
Welcome everybody to episode 10. This episode is unique from so many perspectives. First of all, we made it available to the public to give people an idea what we are doing, and I'm sure all of you will fall in love with our small docu-series about Arctic marine wildlife. We are covering 2 days in this episode. Both days we were treated with beautiful weather, flat calm sea and amazing encounters. On one of the days we have encountered a group of humpback whales. There was no fishing activity on these days nearby. Both the whales and the orcas seemed to have a quiet morning. There were also no other boats out, only us. The previous night it was heavy snowing that kept others cozy inside. This year we had very little snow, which is sad. We love snow. This day the whole landscape was bright white because of the snow. The cloud cover had some openings and it created a magical pink and orange light. The humpback whales were also just chilling in the area, no feeding. They were slowly cruising in the fjord in small groups, some of them were resting. Due to the beautiful weather, we have decided to do some drone footages. When you watch humpback whales from the surface, you can only see their back and their dorsal fin. Before they dive, they normally lift their tail flukes above the surface. But that's all. When you fly above them, a whole new world is opening up about humpback whales. You can see their enormous pectoral fin and the shape of their whole body. It's fascinating to see how they navigate with their pectoral fins while swimming. They look like angels flying in the water, and the two white pecks are the wings. You can get an idea how big they really are. We use an 8.5 meter rib boat for whale watching, and these whales can be twice the size of the boat. Their average size is around 16 meters long. That's massive. From what we can see on the surface, most of the people do not assume them bigger than the boat, but actually they are. In the northern hemisphere, the body of the humpback whales, as you can see, is dark gray, and most part of their belly is dark too. We knew this from underwater footages. Their pectoral fins are totally white. Humpback whales in the southern hemisphere, however, has a different coloration. They are more like orcas and have almost their full belly white. It's interesting that within the same species, each location has its own uniqueness about them. This year is special from so many different perspectives. Due to our bird circumstances, we have less tourists and less boats in the area. From what we have observed, the whales really appreciate this. In the past couple of years, Norway became a hotspot for whale watching, especially being one of the very few countries who allows snorkeling with orcas. There are several people out there who shows immense respect towards these animals during their encounters, but of course there are always exceptions. In a way, I think this episode would never have happened if this season would be an ordinary season. This year the animals are more acceptable and interested in humans. They like that they can interact on their own terms and not being pushed. Several occasions we have witnessed young orca calves and juvenile animals playing and socializing together without being directly occupied by any adult animal. There were adults in the fjord within the 500-meter radius, and I'm sure their mothers were nearby but not directly with them. On both days we found 3-4 calves alone just playing together. Maybe we found the same calves on the days, but that I cannot tell as a fact. Calves are hard to identify because their saddle patch is darker and it's still growing, will change a lot over time. However, we have seen the same females, for example NKW607 Freya on both days, which is a sign that we have encountered the same whales, therefore the calves were the same too. Both encounters happened in the exact same location. Young animals are generally more interested in interacting with people than the adults. Just like human children, they want to explore everything. Orca children are the same, they are driven by their curiosity. The reason why I said earlier that this day would have not happened in an ordinary season is because if there would be more boats in the area, 4 calves would have not been left alone playing. They would have been occupied by adults to protect them and supervise them. Again, it is the same that in a big crowd, a mother will not let her child roam around freely. She would hold the child's hand and make sure that the child is safe. In an ordinary season, probably people would also have tried to swim with the calves. We did not get into the water. We put a GoPro in on a stick and a female appeared straight away next to the boat. She must have heard that something entered the water and she came right there to check what is it and if the babies are okay. Before that, the calves were all around the boat, a meter away maybe, but every time the GoPro was in, they kept at least 6-7 meter distance. We stopped putting in the GoPro and just filmed from the surface. When you have a chance to spend every single day out at sea with these amazing animals for 2.5 months, you get to know their habits, you get to know what they like or what they dislike. It's important to respect their will, and then we can end up with days like this. These 3-4 calves spent the whole day around the boat for 2 days. We were just floating with the engines neutral all the time. We found ourselves in an orca kindergarten. They were super funny. I must admit I have never seen anything similar in my entire life. They seem to be interested in our whistling. Orca communication is all about sounds. They use different set of calls, clicks, whistles, buzzes to communicate with each other. Scientists are still working hard for decades to understand their communication better. It is still a very long way to go. However, it was proven several times before that they are attracted to different sort of sounds like human whistles. These little ones seem to be fascinated by our whistling. They lined up next to the boat and lifted their nose above the water and listened. At the beginning of the episode, you have seen the one which was lying on the surface and pushing water out of its mouth while we were whistling to them. Sometimes they even try to make sounds from their blowhole.
listen. Det ser ut as Korean. Oh! Ho, ho, ho.
Orcas have different socializing behaviors: spy hopping, breaching, tail slapping, pectoral fin slapping, swimming upside down, swimming on their side, half breach, and so on. A calf learns every behavior from its mother and other pod members. These calves are still very young, so they do not know how to properly socialize. They tried kind of everything. We have seen them several times leaping out of the water, half breach backwards, swimming upside down, but it looked like they enjoyed the most to dynamically raise their tail flukes above the water. They did that all the time. They have also sticked their heads out of the water to look at us. Sometimes they open their mouth and you can see they do not have their teeth grown out yet. Also, this is a sign of being quite young. All of these calves still have an orangish coloration on the white body parts, like the eye and the throat patch and their underside. There are several theories why they have this orangish coloration. The most reliable one is most likely that they do not have a thick fat layer yet compared to the adult ones, and their blood vessels are just closer to their skin, hence the coloration. They usually turn fully white after 1 year old, but for some of them it can take even longer than that. The calves were chasing each other, biting each other, pulling each other's tail fluke, gently jumping on each other, and so on. It really is like when human children are playing, always involved a little bit of fighting. Sometimes we saw the females approaching and trying to get their babies, but they seemed to be reluctant to do what their mother was asking from them. They just kept playing, so the females decided to let them be and just watch them, sometimes even joined in for the fun. These 2 days were something we will never forget. These kind of moments are hard to catch. You need to be at sea a lot and need to be quite lucky too. Even for the big documentary production channels, it's almost impossible to film every single detailed aspect of their life. Usually they come to the area when it's still light, but that's the most crowded as well, and they focus on the action when they are feeding. We try to show people their everyday life, no matter how much light we get, to know them better and enjoy private moments with them. Enjoy Orca Channel.